Picture Sarajevo, 1993. A banker stands in the ruins of what used to be a middle-class suburb. In his hand, he holds a diamond and gold necklace that represented 2 years of salary in the old world. He isn't trading it for safe passage or a vehicle. He is begging a neighbour to trade it for 3 disposable Bic lighters. This is the moment value shifts. When the grid goes down, financial abstraction dies, and tangible utility becomes king. We are currently staring at a $35 trillion debt bubble that guarantees a global currency reset. The gold standard is the wrong playbook for this crash. To understand the Amish hedge, the only strategy that survives the math of zero, we first have to kill the fantasy, the gold bug's delusion. Let's start by dismantling the John Wick fantasy. You know the one. You picture yourself in a collapse, sliding a gold coin across a mahogany counter to buy safe passage or premium weapons. It is a seductive idea, but Selko Begovic, who survived a year in a besieged city without power or water, calls this the most dangerous delusion of them all. He identifies the fatal flaw of precious metals in a survival scenario, the divisibility problem. Imagine the logistics. You are starving. The supermarkets have been empty for 3 weeks. You find a neighbour with extra flour, but he doesn't want your paper money. You pull out a 1-ounce gold Krugerrand, currently valued at roughly $2,500. How do you buy 5 pounds of flour with that? Unless you were carrying a jeweller's scale and a hammer to chisel off a flake, the transaction is impossible. You cannot make change. You are forced to overpay by thousands of dollars just to eat for a day, draining your life savings in a week of bad trades. But it gets worse. In a lawless environment, the loot drop factor kicks in. When you flash a gold coin to buy bread, you aren't signalling that you are a wealthy customer. You are advertising that you have resources worth taking, and you lack the community to defend them. You are signaling that you are a soft target with high-value loot. You don't get the bread, you get followed home. This leads to soup can valuation. During the Balkan conflict, warlords and black marketeers understood the leverage imbalance perfectly. They knew the desperate father with the gold watch needed to eat today, while the warlord with the warehouse of canned goods could wait. The exchange rate wasn't set by the London Bullion Market Association, it was set by desperation. Gold heirlooms, diamond rings and silver bars were traded for expired beef stew or a pack of antibiotics. The person with the consumables holds all the power. The person with the gold is just a refugee with shiny rocks. Gold fails because it assumes a functioning market exists to value it. When the market is a guy with a gun and a pallet of beans, your gold is worth exactly what he says it is. The velocity of zero. To understand why gold fails, you have to understand the speed of the crash. We call this the velocity of zero. When a currency dies, it doesn't slide gracefully, it plummets. Look at the autopsy of Venezuela in 2016. The Bolivar didn't just lose value, it became trash. The government initiated the 72-hour rule. They announced that the 100 Bolivar note, the most common bill in circulation, would be demonetized in 3 days. Panic ensued. People with life savings under their mattresses suddenly had 72 hours to launder their own money before it became worthless paper. This is the Bolivar Muerto. It got so bad that artisans began weaving purses and hats out of the cash. The craft value of the paper fibre was literally higher than the purchasing power of the face value. When the currency hits zero, the economy undergoes economic reversion. It slides back centuries. In Venezuela, this became the Patanimo standard. Fishermen in coastal towns stopped accepting cash entirely. If you wanted tuna, you brought pasta. If you wanted sardines, you brought rice. It was direct caloric arbitrage. In the rural mountains, the coffee standard took over. Coffee beans became the de facto currency because they solved the divisibility problem gold couldn't. Beans are standardized, portable, and most importantly, consumable. Hardware stores priced hammers in kilos of coffee. You could pay for gasoline with a sack of beans. You might think this can't happen in the West. You would be wrong. The United States is currently in a debt spiral where interest payments on the national debt have exceeded the entire defense budget. This is a mathematical event horizon. There is no way out of this trap. You either default on the debt or you inflate the currency until the debt is meaningless. History shows they always choose inflation. The system assumes stability, but the math screams collapse. And when the dollar hits zero, you don't want an asset that relies on a stock market to have value. You need assets that have their own heartbeat. The Amish hedge. the 5 pillars of survival. This brings us to the solution. The Amish hedge is not a lifestyle choice. You don't need to churn butter or ride in a buggy. It is a portfolio allocation strategy. It prioritizes production over hoarding. While the modern investor asks, what is the return on investment? The Amish hedge asks, what is the return on survival? It is built on 5 pillars that stand firm when the dollar collapses. Pillar 1 is productive land. This is the base layer of the pyramid. During the 2008 financial crisis, the S&P 500 dropped 46%. In that same period, farmland values rose 17%. Why? Because you cannot print corn. Land is an insurance policy that pays dividends in calories. Even a quarter-acre garden changes your leverage in a crisis because it disconnects you from the supply chain. When the trucks stop running, the person with the grocery store in their backyard is the only one not panicking. We have forgotten that you cannot live inside a Bitcoin wallet and you cannot shelter your family under a stock certificate. Real estate that produces food is the only asset that has never gone to zero in 5,000 years of human history. Pillar 2 is practical skills. This is where the hierarchy of society flips. In a stable economy, we value the Zoom class, people who manage spreadsheets and send emails. In a collapse, these people become the useless class. The value inversion is brutal. The carpenter, the mechanic, the medic, and the gardener suddenly become the new aristocracy. These are depression-proof skills because they solve immediate, life-threatening problems. If you know how to suture a wound or repair a solar inverter, your labor is a currency that cannot be debased. More importantly, skills are the only asset that cannot be confiscated at a checkpoint. They live in your nervous system. They are tax-free, theft-proof, and infinitely portable. Pillar 3 is tangible goods, the lighter theory. This is the specific antidote to the gold bug's delusion. My thesis is simple. 1,000 disposable Bic lighters are a superior investment to 1 ounce of gold. Let's look at the math. A gold bar is a concentrated point of failure. If you lose it or it gets stolen, you have lost everything. It is hard to trade and impossible to divide. Now look at the lighters. They are high utility. Fire is life. They are low profile. Nobody kills you for a plastic lighter, and they are perfectly divisible. You can trade 1 lighter for a meal and still have 999 left. This is distributed risk. You are becoming a micro merchant of essential goods rather than a target carrying a lottery ticket. Pillar 4 is community networks. We have to debunk the lone wolf prepper myth. The idea that you will grab your rifle and head into the woods to survive alone is a suicide pact. Data from disaster zones shows that people with strong social networks have a 50% higher survival rate. You need a community multiplier. You need neighbours. You cannot stay awake 24 hours a day to guard your garden. You cannot be a doctor, a soldier, and a farmer simultaneously. Your neighbours are your security team, your workforce, and your insurance pool. The Amish understand this better than anyone. Their wealth is not in the bank, but in the fact that if their barn burns down, the community builds a new one by sunset. Pillar 5 is optionality metals. Notice where gold is on this list. It is last. Gold and silver have a place, but not for survival during the crash. They are for wealth preservation after the crash. Precious metals are for the stabilization phase, when a new currency is being formed and you need to transfer wealth from the old world to the new one. But you only get to that phase if you survive the chaos first. The core philosophy of the Amish hedge is that production beats storage. If you have gold but no food, you will eventually trade all your gold to the man who has the food. We have to shift our thinking from net worth to net utility. The numbers in your bank account are a hallucination supported by a $35 trillion debt bubble that is mathematically guaranteed to burst. When it does, the only things that will matter are what you can produce, who you can trust, and what you can hold in your hands. The debt is real, the money is fake, and you cannot eat a hedge fund. Subscribe for more financial forensics and drop a helicopter emoji in the comments if you are ready for the crash.